He got his free 7-Eleven day Slurpee just to watch Vinnie's head explode. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on. Mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
That is so cool.
Vinnie Tortorich is here, and just in time, because I went out on a quest to make myself a wedge salad last night.
Oh.
I have ordered 200,000 wedge salads, but I've never produced one at home.
Should be pretty simple.
Yeah, very straightforward.
Doable. Quarter of a head of lettuce.
That's where the conundrum comes in.
Yeah, some tomatoes. Yeah, some blue cheese.
I've labeled it restaurant food, like I do with certain. I don't know. You guys, what do you guys? Oh, I made myself a wedge last night.
I literally make them all the time.
Yeah.
It's the only salad the kid will eat.
It is easy.
So it's eminently doable salad.
That's why I'm bringing it up. I know you guys like to pile on, but I'm saying that the crux and the thrust of this discussion is how easy it is and how I don't do it. And then you guys' response is, it's so easy.
Hey, buddy, look around. We're all laughing.
It's so easy. Yes.
We're all smiling.
It is so easy. That is what I'm pushing in front of you.
And we are buying
on
it.
display.
And
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You're 50-something.
I'm explaining how the lack of consistency of something that's easy, that I enjoy, that I do not make at home. But I don't. Mainly, I think because I've labeled it steakhouse food.
Yeah.
I order it at a steakhouse, and I don't make it at home. But I decided, and then I went into the Vons or the Ralphs or the wherever in Malibu and looked high and low for blue cheese dressing that did not start with canola oil. And it does not exist.
No kidding.
It does not exist. I've never really thought about it, but it has to be that way, right? So there's stuff in the cold section, there's stuff in the non-cold section, there's the salad dressing section, and then there's the cold and where the produce is. It's all canola.
The refrigerator stuff was all canola. I thought that was for preservative purposes.
Canola. Everything is canola, palm, whatever. Then saw a thing of mayonnaise, Kraft mayonnaise, but mayonnaise, and it was like avocado mayonnaise.
Oh,
yeah.
And I said,
good.
We're making the move here, because you can go to Trader Joe's and get mayonnaise that's made with olive oil, not canola oil, and it tastes the same. It's fine. Got it. It says big picture of a avocado on the front. This is avocado mayonnaise. Turned it around. First ingredient, olive oil. Second ingredient, canola oil. It's like it doesn't not exist. They can't do it. Even I'm not a big fan of big government, but in the labeling department, when you label it avocado mayonnaise, canola shouldn't be the second ingredient.
Wasn't that the thing with the green machine or whatever the juices were? Like they were disproportionately putting certain images, certain ingredients.
Broccoli and more broccoli.
Yeah, the broccoli looked gigantic, and there's like a little apple, and it's like, no, you gotta switch.
It's always been, but this would lead you to go, there's canola-based mayonnaise and there's olive oil-based mayonnaise, and this one has a picture of a big
juicy avocado.
Avocado oil, and this one's got an avocado on it, so this is the avocado. Yeah. I didn't know it could be both, but it is.
Yeah.
And Vinnie,
cheaper.
This is a plague, a scourge, a pox. What do we label it?
Yes, it is. When I had my radio show in the 80s back in New Orleans, I used to talk about this, and of course, everyone thought I was wearing a tinfoil hat when I would mention this stuff, but there's three things that goes on any label. There's what's written on the front, where you can clearly lie, as you've found out. And then there's nutrition facts. That's where you can lie again. The place where it literally says fact, that's a lie. And then everything beneath that is a lie. Mm-hmm. The only place where the government says, look, we must tell people exactly what they're consuming is under ingredients. And now everyone is smart enough to know that whatever comes first, because the government also says whatever comes first, you have to let, the biggest proportions, you have to put that first, second, and third. So as you saw, it was saying avocado, big picture of an avocado. We have avocado oil. And then the second ingredient, the second biggest ingredient, according to you, was canola oil in that product.
Yeah, it says canola oil and soybean oil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
which is, sewing machine oil and sewing machine oil. Literally, it's the same thing, and that's what they have. I'm going to tell you something. You got onto seed oils a few years ago. I think it was after I introduced you guys, or Dr. Drew, to Kate Shanahan.
I think, and I'll cut you off just quickly, because I think people thought, well, you can cook with olive oil or you can cook with canola oil, but it's kind of for cooking. We didn't know it was going to be infused into every chip, every bun, every dressing, everything that's liquid. Like almost every liquid substance in that place has seed oil in it or canola oil in it.
Yeah, we started doing that. Literally, this started in the late 1940s, early 1950s, when we went after coconut oil and we went after palm oil. And we did campaigns in this country. Big Food did campaigns through the government going, these oils are abominations. They will cause heart disease, heart attacks. Look at how they clump up when they get to room temperature and all this stuff. The reason they did that is because they need those oils. They need those oils to clump up when you're making a candy bar or anything else that you're going to make shelf stable, right? But Big Food figured out, wait, that's expensive. We can do it for cheaper. We can take seed oils and we can hydrogenate. Remember when the word hydrogenate became a thing in our childhood, not yours?
Partially hydrogenated.
And then it became partially because they
or
realized,
we'd say hydrogenated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But that's what happened. They started making this. They took an oil that was already bad and said, I wonder if we can weaponize it. And they did. And that's when they did another campaign. They still do campaigns on palm oil.
Yeah, I don't think if you're a young person growing up in this country and you're eating fast food and not even in a very unhealthy way, like fast food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but just like I'm having a salad and I went to the store and I got a salad dressing. It's called Healthy Choice on it. And I started pouring it on.
Nature Select.
We must just be drowning in this oil, and it's got to be affecting these kids.
It's affecting kids in ways you couldn't even imagine. It affects us. Once I get people off of seed oils, the first thing they'll tell me is they can have Dawson skin, really light skin. They'll say, I don't burn anymore, or I don't burn as severely. Things like sunburns stop happening. Sleep apnea, all sorts of things just happen immediately when you go off of seed oil.
Because you're not cooking from the inside, like if you're spreading seed oil on your skin.
I've had doctors explain it to me as way beyond my scope.
Wow.
But what it does to the telomeres and everything else, Dr. Drew or one of those guys can probably talk to what happens internally.
You mentioned fast food, and it reminded me that trans fats had like a really big run for like 3 or 5 years. Was that overblown? Are trans fats even bad?
Brian, you can't call them that.
They're horrible for you.
What are they?
We call them tranny fats now, Ryan, or drag fats.
Understood.
The trans fats are horrible because they're seed oils. Okay. And what they do is they cook them down. Trans fats have always been bad.
Okay.
And that's where, the vegans and those groups, they'll say, well, these hamburgers are bad. They're full of trans fats. It's not the meat that has the trans fat. It's what they cook them in. And to that point, when we were kids, again, not when you were kids, McDonald's French fries were awesome. I mean, awesome, because they were cooked in beef tallow.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It gives a nice golden brown on the outside, and they were nice and plump, and on the inside, it would hold all that flavor. Once they started using seed oils, which, by the way, when you cook them, they only fill that
trough
once every 4 or 5 days. By the time it cools off that first night, and then they heat it up again the 7th, you're making a trans fat right there.
Oh, really?
So we've actually made the French fries that were bad for you, really bad for you.
Shit. Oh.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they don't taste the way they tasted when I was a kid. I haven't had one, but
on a happier note, you're building a kayak from scratch.
Yes, I am, sir.
You commandeered a shop near where you live.
Out in Richmond, about 90 miles away.
You go there, and you work on your kayak. You're doing it through laminating smaller pieces of wood.
Yeah, I started off with cedar boards because I wanted to know the entire process. So I had to start with the first couple of days. It was just ripping wood, getting them into 1/8 of an inch or about 1/8 of an inch thick.
A little thicker, maybe.
Not much.
I said a little.
Okay, I'm just telling you you're wrong, but okay.
I'll go with 3/16.
Maybe. But yeah, really, really thin.
Well, it's
strips in
thicker, like a paint can stir, like one of those wood paint
about
can
like
things.
that.
It's just probably a little healthy of an eighth.
Yeah, it's plus an eighth. As we were saying,
So-
the wood
so you can
business,
laminate it.
It's proud.
Yes.
So we started with that. We cut a bunch of wood, and I think the last time I was in, I was showing you the hull, the bottom of the boat. We were filling that in. Since then, I've laminated that. So that's all glued together. You laminate it.
We're looking at it.
That's the hull
Pretty.
before it was
Beautiful.
laminated. Chris, if you could maybe pop one up where the whole hull is done.
You
maybe.
got, is it all cedar or is there some
wait,
mahogany
Chris,
in there?
No, that's all cedar. And what I did there, that's the deck I'm working
Wow,
on right there.
it's beautiful with an inlay.
I wanted to do, because everybody does some kind of ornate thing on the top. I've always liked the Chris Crafts and the Hackers, the old boats from the 40s.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have, I did 2 cedar strips, and then I would take a yellow strip and really cut it down. And we put those in between. That took forever.
Yeah.
That's work.
But it's good. It's good that it takes a long time and it's very meditative, right?
I'm learning. So you go through life, you go, oh, I want to work with wood. That part, making that freaking hole to sit in, that's just mine. That takes days.
Yeah. No, I think everyone's hopping on Amazon and buying a plastic one, and it's great. But, I think what people may be missing is the story. You want the story. You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference between going on to bring a trailer and buying some hot rod that some guy spent 3 years restoring, and then the one you and your dad did.
Right.
You
You're
know what
the
I mean?
some guy.
And when people come by and go, "Hey, that's a cool truck. What's this? Where'd you get it? What's the story?" You would like to say, you don't want to say, "My dad died. He left me some cash, so I went to bring a trailer. I got pretty drunk and I just made an impulse buy." You want to go, "That was my dad and I. That was his truck when he came back from Vietnam, and now I restored it with him." That's the story part of life.
Yeah, I've always been interested in, it was funny, I was watching a movie called Class with Rob Lowe.
Oh, know it well. And Jacqueline Bisset.
That's why I was watching. I wanted to bring back that memory. I was on my spinner one day and watching Class. And do you guys know that movie?
I do.
Great movie.
I like it because there was a thing that we've totally abandoned now, because as I've said, Michael Moore doesn't want people to know he's worth $50 million, so he dresses like an out-of-work lesbian trucker, And if you see Mark Zuckerberg walking around, he's in flip-flops and board shorts, right? But there was a time in the 80s when rich, you know what I mean? It was a thing, and they'd go to their stately manor. But there was always a theme, which is the husband and the wife hated each other. And they'd sit at opposite ends of a 20-foot-long dining table.
And they say this, "Can you tell Mrs. Banks to pass the sauce?"
Yes. They
She's
would
had enough
communicate.
wine. There was a lot
They
of
would
that.
communicate through the butler who was walking back and forth on this 20-foot-long table. And
Tell Mr. Banks to get off his ass and get it himself.
right. And at some point, the son or the daughter who was in college should be pissed, would go, "My family with their perfect mansion and their perfect car collection are perfectly miserable." And then all us poor people in the audience would stand up and cheer.
Yes.
See, you can't buy happiness. I told you. I snuck into this theater, but it cannot be bought. This thing called happiness. So it was one of those movies.
It was, and
You can stream it
you're
on
exactly
Pluto
right.
TV,
I'm going
by
to say this before. You're exactly right, because I dated a girl in college whose dad was the guy who figured out the container ship and changed shipping forever. And she would have to get high before dinner. That's how weird it was. But I'm watching Class on my spinner, and Rob Lowe has this great 911. It's red. It's convertible. And I'm like, man, I always wanted one of those in the 80s. I always wanted one. And I thought about, I can get one of those. Maybe I could get one for cheap and fix it up. I know it's going to end up costing $100,000 by the time I fix it up, but I'm going to get one of those. I'm going to fix it up. For 2 days, I almost called Matt D'Andrea, but I didn't, because if you call Matt, he's going to find it right now.
Yeah, and you got to squeeze the trigger.
Yeah, and then you got to go. So I was like, do I call Matt? Do I not call Matt? And then I sat there and I thought about it, and I said, you know what? I'm not a Porsche guy. Once I got a Porsche, I got to join the country club. What do I have to do after I have
you're
the
the
Porsche?
Corvette guy. That's right.
Yeah, I'm more of a Corvette guy. And I was like, I don't think I want the Porsche. So, and then I was sitting in bed, and I was like, what do I really want? Like I want to do something. And I said, I've always wanted to work with wood. And I thought about, maybe I can start making humidors. I didn't know what it was. I just knew I had to do something. And I went, you know what? I love kayaking. I love being out there. I want to do the entire bayou that ran in front of my house. I still haven't done it. I'm going to build this boat, and this will be the boat that I'm going to do the 100 miles in that bayou in. So this is my bayou boat. And so people keep saying, oh, it looks like furniture. You're going to use it? Oh, yeah, I'm going to beat the crap out of it.
Nice.
I will beat the crap out of this boat.
You're going to have to take an oar to a couple of nutria if you do it in the bayou.
Some alligators and hopefully some water
I'm
snakes.
inspired to build a Porsche now. That's what I got from this conversation.
I've been to your shop. I think you've built a half a dozen of them.
So did you just drive out here from Louisiana?
No, I've been.
I mean Virginia, right?
Yeah, I looked and I went, okay, I have Carolla show. I have to be in Badwater because my vitamin company sponsors Badwater 135.
Is 135 mile? Is it the
On
135?
foot. Yeah, it's the toughest foot race on the planet, and they use my ultra salt and my ultra fat and all that stuff. So I said, okay, I have to be there, but I have to be in Austin for KetoCon. I'm doing a talk there. So I started looking at tickets, and I went, no, I can't go through Atlanta one more time. I can't deal with these people in their fucking slippers, and they can't get dressed. I'm just going to drive.
The airport people. Yeah.
The one thing I've learned about driving, well, I love driving. I've been driving, my whole life. I've been across this country 10 times. But what happens is when you drive across and you're in Memphis, people are nice. People, wonderful. You get into these towns. You drive from Memphis, you get to Austin. People are nice. People are wonderful. As soon as you get into L.A., it starts. Now, I know your gas here is more expensive than anywhere else, but when you're filling up at $65 a tank across the country, and then your first tank here is over $100, then you go, well, Jesus Christ.
But the congeniality of the people make up for it.
Yes, the love and support
Right.
Well, there's
of
that.
the Armenian
Down
gas
home,
station
yeah.
owner comes out with a squeegee running to wisp away all
My
the
friend,
dirt from
please.
you. Please, another squeegee.
I just had a fight with a guy in a station in Mojave like 2 hours ago. I put my card in, and it locked it into the machine.
Yeah.
So I went to the guy and said, hey, my card's locked. Well, what's going on? He goes, oh, the chip or something. I went, well, can you unlock it? Yes. I said, can I use the same card? He goes, no, your chip must be damaged. So I said, okay, so different card. I put another card in. It locks that one. So now I have to go back in. He's annoyed at me.
I know.
I'm the customer. And then you go, and you guys don't realize this. I lived here for 30 years. This is the only place in the nation where there's a condom over the gas thing that you're sticking to your car.
Yeah.
So everywhere else, you could put the spigot all the way in, and you go take a leak. You come out, your car's full. If you try to do that here, that thing can spring out of your car. You got to stay with it.
There's the accordion
Yeah.
turtleneck.
That's not normal?
No, that doesn't exist in other places. We have rules here in California. I don't know if you've noticed any of them. And we must recapture whatever vapor is coming off of the thing via this sort of vapor lock accordion thing. The problem with it is you shove it in and you start fueling and then you start walking away, and sometimes it starts uncorking and unaccording, and then you lose it. Then it's time to do it again. Yeah. Also, lots of stickers on the thing about the EPA and cancer causing and birth defects and stuff.
Here, and again, when I was here, didn't notice it. And then you go in to take a leak, and you walk up to the bathroom. It's locked. You need to go get a code from the guy. You know, everything is locked here because of the homeless. So there's codes everywhere. I just went to Starbucks and got this coffee.
You know,
Walked in, code. There's a code everywhere. There's freaking codes everywhere.
We're fucking insane.
It's unbelievable. I can't believe I lived here for 30 years.
Phil had some issues the other day.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's on the mend. He's better now, but he had to go to the vet. And he went to the vet in later hours. I don't know, 10:30 at night or something like that. And so I'm checking with Olga, who took him to the vet, about how Phil's doing. And I'm saying, how's Phil? What's going on? Any diagnoses? And she goes, well, I don't know. I'm out in the car. And I go, okay, well, go in and find out what's going on. And she's like, they don't let you in.
What?
They come out wearing masks. They collect the dog, and then they bring the dog in, and then you're not allowed in.
Wow.
You sit out in your car and wait for them to come out and get you. And I'm like,
is this a late night security thing or a COVID thing? Because COVID, we're past doing that.
My
way
vet
past.
did that for like the heart of COVID, but that's
well,
long gone.
some places, you know, and this is kind of the problem. It's always the problem with taxes. Like, oh, we're just going to add a couple percentage points till we're done with the bridge, and then we're just going to head and pull that. Stuff gets added,
Never
doesn't
pull
really
it.
go away.
Right,
For the people, the large percentage of businesses who wanted it to go away, it went away. But there's a percent of businesses that didn't really want it to go away, and they just kept going. No one said stop doing this. They said you don't have to do it anymore. And certain people went, well, been doing it for a year and a half. We're gonna keep it going.
It's probably nicer in the waiting room for the vets
was
without
gonna
people
say.
pacing around.
Listen, if you're a restaurant, you want people in.
Right,
If you're a vet, you can take them or leave them. Honestly, you're probably better off with them
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. If you're an airline and you don't feel like serving wedges of lemon, then this is a windfall for you because you can keep taking the COVID well past. First off, not sure whether the lemons ever went away, but now that they did, we can just do whatever the fuck we want. It's always crazy to me that California is so insanely regulated. Like it flies in the face of all that we announce ourselves to be. You know, freedom, it's free, judgment free, you know, come
Free
on
love.
down, enjoy. You know, this is where you go when you want the freedom to start a business or express yourself or marry who you want. Like it's freedom, 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 except for more regulations. I was reading something today, I think it was the LA Times, that said like the new housing for the homeless, it's $1 million a unit now. It went from
I'll take one.
$387 to
That's a bargain.
$665. We're now at $1 million.
It was $8.
It's all regulation. It's all crazy regulation. And then the people who make all the regulation go, "Hey, what's taking so long with these homeless? You know, we're not getting homeless units." Like, yeah, because you're so regulated. It's weird that California became that.
And do you know what I found over the weekend where you'll get kicked out if you don't have your mask over your nose? Because I was half-assing it so we could do the arcade. The arcade at the Sherman Oaks Castle. You know, the mini golf.
No,
I kept getting
Off the
tapped,
freeway,
and I
yeah.
was like, ugh.
That was, one of the true joys when I was still kind of poor, but somewhat employed in show business on K-Rock is the only good thing about morning radio is at 11:30 when you're done with the postmortem and you've had your prep meeting for the following day. It's 11:30. Everyone else is at work. It's a Wednesday. And you're done.
You're ready for dinner.
You worked.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, I'd say to Jimmy, like, let's go to the batting cage at the Sherman Oaks
It'll be
Castle.
empty.
And we'd go to the
It'll be
batting
goddamn
cage.
ghost town.
And we'd just hit a few balls
Yeah,
over
we
there.
did that.
And then we'd wander into the arcade, sort of guilt-free because we got up
We
at
were already-
4:30. We
yeah.
already went to work. And that's where we spotted the video game Violence Fight.
That's right.
Somebody sent me.
Sounds like The
Translation.
Simpsons.
Yes, we both stood and stared at it for a while and then realized this was some sort of Chinese translation.
Knockoff.
It sounded good to them, but not how we
Sounds
speak
better
over
than
here.
the original Chinese.
Kidokan, which sounds like a martial art. You know what I mean? This guy's a 6-degree black belt in the discipline of Kidokan. And then the thing about martial arts is it's always like Mexican food. They don't invent new ones. They're like, it's kind of Muay Thai meets jiu-jitsu. Like, this is what the Mexicans do. Well, we take the beef and the rice and we put it in a tortilla. We put an egg on it. It's like, that's right. It's like they just start inventing things. But Keto Con, I'm trying to imagine the crowd there.
A lot of people who used
Smug.
to be fat and they lost a lot of weight. There's a lot of angry people there, but not angry like vegan angry. They're because what I do whenever I do my talks, I don't have to put it. All the doctors go up and they have the
Charts.
They got the click and the things are coming up.
Like a TED Talk.
Yeah, I don't have time for that shit. So I just go up and go, hey, everybody, and then let's open it up for questions. And there's a mic in the audience and someone doing the O'Donoghue thing where they're sprinting over people. And I just open it up, and my whole talk is talking to them and not at them. Reminds me of a Harry Nelson song. But I'm doing that whole thing, and everyone starts with, I was 500 pounds, look at me now, and my A1Cs are normal. I've gotten rid of sleep apnea. I don't use the mask anymore. My triglycerides. And I'll go, yeah. And they'll go, and my doctor's angry because they said I'm killing myself.
Right.
It's like, was your doctor happy? Or the other one I hear is, why is it, and your name came up a lot, why is it that...
What's up with Adam?
Listen to that Adam guy. It was like, why is it my doctor was telling me this or my dietitian was telling me that, and I heard you on Carolla, and then I just tried it because I had nothing else to lose, and now I'm literally 300 pounds down.
Well,
this is common.
I've always said this about keto. In a world where, you're taking a multivitamin and everyone wants to know, is it working? And you're like, I don't know, I guess. I can't say if I would or wouldn't work. I feel fine, and... They do that a lot with certain meditations and things like, how's it changed? It's like, I guess I feel better. But you go keto and you see it and feel it fast. Yeah. Like as immediate as anything in our world is. It is immediate. It's not later that night, but it is
a week or two.
Even the first couple days.
If you're a dude.
You'll start feeling it, and then you'll start seeing it. So, number one, there's results. Number two, being fat is the worst thing you can be from a health standpoint. So, I know the doctor wants to prescribe this or get you the lap band surgery or whatever it is, and he doesn't like the idea that you're eating so much beef, protein, and things of that nature, but why not just let the person lose a ton of weight and see how much healthier they are, as Vinnie says? And they're worried about the fat on the beef, not the fact that the fat is melting off the patient. And the fat was never
the problem. And not one person, no one's ever died. You can look at cultures where the Maasai Indians or the Inuits or any of these people who just ate fatty meat their entire life to the exclusion of almost anything else, the original carnivores. And heart disease and tooth decay, none of this existed with these people until we went and said, hey, would you like some Fritos?
Right.
And then, problems ensue. But for whatever reason, Dr. Drew and I have talked about this. They don't have time to do anything other than heal people. They don't have time to sit there and go, okay, you should try this, that, and the other thing. But they shouldn't be stopping people when the person comes in 200 and 300 pounds lighter and have dropped 5 medications and saying, oh, wait, you're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That's just not fair.
Well, and also it's like if the doctor thinks this is going to give you heart problems, do you think being 500 pounds isn't giving you heart problems?
That's the number one reason.
So what do you care how they're...
That's the number one reason for heart disease is morbid obesity. It's not what you think. It's the opposite. I've been yelling about this for 20 years.
Well, and also, from my surgery, I had these crazy wound issues, which, by the way, are pretty much cleared up.
Prove it.
It's very common, and we've talked about why. But I go to the doctor. I go to the plastic surgeon once a week just to see how it's doing. And every time, yes, Brian.
It's such a Beverly Hills LA thing to say. I go to the plastic surgeon once a week.
I do, and then I hit the sample sale over at $260. But anyway, she's always like, what are you doing? Like, what is it? How do you heal so fast? I'm like, I don't know. I take my vitamins. I'm pretty keto. She's like, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She's like amazed how, like, literally, like, I mean, it's gross, but like a cavernous hole in my body has closed up completely this fast. I'm like, I eat a lot of protein. I'm kind of keto and I take my vitamins. And that's all. Like, I don't have anything else to tell her.
That's my next book, Kinda Keto.
Well, first off, look no further than COVID. All the doctors kind of just got together and circled the wagons and got on the same page. And I think
Put
a
your
lot of it,
seatbelt on the couch.
Yeah, a lot of it is fear. But there's also a thing that I'd like to ask you guys about, which is like being able to be mentally and even somewhat emotionally fluid, where you just go, and I tell people all the time, they'll go like, all right, we'll do it the way you want it. I go, not my way, not the way I want it. Vinnie came in, said a bunch of stuff, we listened, and then found out it was effective. Who are these people? They're taking the food pyramid, or they're taking what they know about margarine or animal fat or something. They just hang on with both hands. Like they cannot, it's almost like we understand physically, because Vinnie is a physical trainer as well, and trained the great Howie Mandel. That's when I met him, who is on the internet for something about prolapsed anus.
Excuse me?
I'd heard.
Yeah, he was trending.
Howie?
We can look for that. He didn't have.
I don't know.
Did Bonaducci have one of
We'll
those?
see if we can find it.
You're
But
doing too many squats.
the point is if you're standing there and you're doing some squats, and Vinnie comes up and he goes, you're bending your back too much. Keep your back straight. Get your butt under you and use your thighs. You don't go, you're not the boss of me. You just go,
I got this far, buddy.
okay, this
give
is
it a
what
try.
this is the correct form, technique.
Mm-hmm.
Why is diet so dramatically different than those few words? The second he'd come up behind you, you'd immediately correct. Why do you know what you know with the diet? Why do so many people just go, well, this is the way, or I know? It's like Vinnie's trained. He's been doing this for a long time.
You're 100% right. I'm wondering, Vinnie might know, or Gina might know, for example, like food as opposed to weightlifting, which is mechanical. Food is so tied to emotion, right? Like comfort eating or whatever.
Right.
Like that you take it as a referendum on you and your decision making. If someone's like, hey, consider replacing this or that, it's like, how dare you tell me what I've been doing my whole life is wrong? It makes you not a bad person.
There's also
really look
and
inward.
to piggyback on that. There is a gypsy wives' tale approach to the whole thing, which is so many people go, this works for me, the way I'm doing it. And I'm like, we're just biological creatures, no different than dogs or polar bears. And if something works, provided you're not allergic to it or something, it'll universally work. The
It behooves you to try.
Yes, it's not just you do what you do. It's this way is effective, and it affects magically everyone we know the same way.
Right. But in the interest of fairness, so you can get a little wiggle room with, people like this, like for instance, me and creamer and stuff don't really get along. I wish we did. But like Jews, a little lactose intolerant. So in that sense of just like, I do what you tell me to do, sometimes I have to make my own adjustments. Can you give an example or two of somebody that might not be the perfect candidate to do it, quote unquote, perfectly?
Well, that's the truth of the matter is it's not perfect because, when we talk about being divisive about what you want to eat, people say, well, what about dairy? I'll tell them, look, some people can have dairy and some people can't. And they'll say, well, how do you know? It's like, well, you'll know when you eat dairy. Pretty quickly.
Your insides will know.
And by the way, some people, when they stop losing weight, I'll take them off of dairy and they'll start losing weight again. They'll go, why didn't you tell me that to begin? It's like, because you were doing well with dairy, and dairy is a great food for most people. And even when you pull people off of dairy, they can still have things like butter and heavy creams and what have you. So it's not all dairy. But to your point of being just so divisive, I heard a comedian on this show like a week or so ago, and he was saying that he was vegan. And
Bassem Youssef, I think.
I love what that guy had to say because he was like, look, I don't care if anyone else does it. It works for me. And he goes, sometimes I have a hamburger.
Right.
And he doesn't make a deal out of it, but there's this cut and dry, people go, well, you're keto. Do you ever have vegetables? Yeah, almost every day, probably every day.
Right.
I don't hate vegetables. I don't hate vegans. People
I'm
are
Arab and vegan, which makes me scary and annoying.
there he is. Vegans aren't bad people. They're misinformed people, but they're not bad people. And the people who are lying to them, those are the ones that should be held culpable for this. Because
can we do a quick thing, and I'll
Sure.
tease it, and I'll encourage Gina and Brian to contribute with entries here, which is, I think where people have the most problems, we all get by now that the beef or the chicken and then the broccolini is good. Where people have trouble is the gray zone of fruit. They go, well, I'm eating fruit and vegetables. So it's like, eat your fruits and vegetables. And the answer is not all fruits, most vegetables, but not all fruits. They get very confused. And it's not as abundantly clear as it is in other facets of this. Like, you look at a piece of broccolini and you go, I get it. It's all green. It tastes like nothing. Fine. It's low cal. It's good for you. But the difference between, a blueberry and a blackberry and a boysenberry and a cherry versus a piece of pineapple or a piece of banana doesn't feel as I'm the person who'd go, I'd probably rather have berries in my cottage cheese than the pineapple. But most people can't draw a distinction, and nuts are completely off the charts. It doesn't
the biggest range, the biggest range
cashew
is in
versus
nuts.
a peanut versus an
Pistachio.
almond versus a walnut. Like, people have no fucking idea. So I want to get, and I'm saying this for selfish reasons because it's cherry season evidently, and I'm fucking nuts for cherries.
Do your ad, and I got a whole thing
for
for you.
cherries.
Yeah.
First, I'll tell you about American Hartford Gold. Inflation at a 40-year high, interest rates skyrocketing. Experts like J.P. Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon predict a recession using terms like economic hurricane. Everyone, protect your future. Do what I did. Call American Hartford Gold. They'll help protect your savings and retirement by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver as well. One short phone call, and you can have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or inside your IRA or 401k. Highest rated firm in the country, A+ rating from the BBB. Thousands of satisfied customers as well. Tell them Adam Carolla sent you for up to $1,500 of free silver on your first order. Right, Dawson?
Call 866-899-2028. That's 866-899-2028 or text Adam to 998899. That's 866-899-2028 or text Adam to 998899.
Nuts versus fruit and a crow snowboarding. Did you anyone see this?
I saw this. Pretty badass.
In a world where, you'd watch the funnies on the sports highlights with George Michael's sports machine on a Sunday night, and they'd go, next up, a squirrel who water skis. It was a squirrel standing on a piece of plywood,
Duct tape.
scared to drown, being dragged behind a sea-doo. That's not him water skiing. That's him just hanging on for dear life.
This is a crow, pure folly.
This is a crow who's voluntarily attempting a snowboarding run.
Wait.
All right, we'll do that right after this.
Adam Carolla's 6th book and audiobook. Everything reminds me of something. Advice, answers, but no apologies.
Being fat is much more dangerous than being a smoker. We'd never tiptoe around the topic of telling a patient to quit smoking. People would be outraged if a physician wasn't trying to convince his patients to stop smoking and said, I don't want them to feel shamed for smoking. That would be malpractice. If being fat has more health consequences than smoking, then do the math. The candy cigarette that used to exist when we were kids were much more harmful than actual cigarettes. It was essentially a sugar-infused piece of blackboard chalk. It's going to get to the point where doctors are going to have to recommend smoking so their patients can shed some pounds.
Everything reminds me of something. Coming soon, wherever finer books are sold. Pre-order yours now at adamcarolla.com.
Good timing with Vinny. Yeah, imagine if we launched a campaign against obesity like we launched one against smoking.
Oh, boy.
Where we would be. But somehow
this movie contains fat people.
we cannot.
Well, that's what it would
cannot
be.
judge.
I got to get that.
By the way, in the description,
Yeah,
I was looking at Netflix. I was just skimming through the thing. I saw the word swoonworthy.
Oh, yeah, Netflix will add those things like
What does that even mean?
They'll do like warm, heartfelt,
Yep.
funny, wacky or whatever. Swoon-worthy,
they really
everybody.
have to stretch.
I'm out.
Netflix has to
How do you
stretch for like
fucking
kids
swoon
content.
over television? How does
You
that
have
work?
some young heartthrob on Dawson's Creek, the movie, or
The
something.
Notebook would have that, for example. Yeah.
This is a very sad. We have the period smoking warning.
Yes.
And then we have the encouraging words of swoon-worthy.
We're all
It's
children.
one word, by the way. It's just swoon-worthy.
Yeah, I'll
It's a new-
see Tessa look through stuff and it'll say like best friends, problem solving, good feelings. And it's like, they're really stretching.
Right. It
Adam-
should say would piss Adam off. I think that would be the new one. Yes.
Do you remember in the 70s where doctors would tell women to smoke if they wanted to lose weight? That's
Yes.
a real thing.
Yeah.
You could talk to 80-year-old
70s? I mean, 50s, 60s for sure. It
in
made
the
it into the 70s.
Oh, yeah, it made it into the 70s until we decided,
No good.
towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, better. Listen, all the way around, you wish your kid was a smoker versus obese.
Yeah.
All right. So, Vinny, hot fruit and nut talk coming at you.
So I before you answer, Ben, please put up what I had right before the show, because I don't know if this is good or bad. I had a big thing of Greek full-fat yogurt, and I cut up some fresh cherries, and it was delicious.
Oh, boy.
And that was what I had before the show, because I seem to remember, I hope I'm not wrong, but Vinny saying when it comes to cherries and berries, a little bit is
I
fine.
don't squint my voice like that. I tell you it's okay to
Oh,
have berries in it. It's
Christ.
Give us a power. Give us a power.
I'm not
ranking.
giving you a fucking power. I'm tired of your power
I
rankings.
want to rank.
Let me just tell you.
Strawberries
We've
or
been doing this for
cherries?
6 years.
What would you rather have? For
They're
your
about the
client?
same.
About the same.
They're about the same.
Blueberry, boysenberry versus an apple.
Oh, God. That's a tough one because you have a lower glycemic index in the berries, but the apple has so much fiber that, it's probably a wash. But let me explain what the problem is, because we never get into what the problem is. You're not metabolically broken. No one in this room is metabolically broken. So you never weighed 300 pounds. You never had A1Cs of 12. You've never been on Lipitor or any of this stuff. So you don't have a problem. So if you stuck to berries and cherries, the occasional apple, even an orange, that kind of thing,
Nectarine.
you're fine.
I love
But
nectarines.
it's the daily. And by the way, if you had pineapple or any, papaya or banana, if you had one of those, it's not going to kill you.
No, I get it.
It's
I
the
think
day-to-day of people who are metabolically broken.
I think
That's
the
difference.
pineapple, as we know from our own Mike Dawson, and the banana are the number one added health smoothie ingredient. And
Goddamn
people are putting
delicious.
tons of pineapple and bananas in there, and then
Yeah,
they're
you grind
drinking
it up. You might as well drink sugar.
And Vinny, I know you saw this online. It's going around and it drives Vinny insane. There's a TikTok of like healthy breakfast for college students, whatever. It's a piece of bread, a slather of peanut butter, cut up banana, honey, and then you put it in the air fryer and you have yourself a delicious healthy
And look
breakfast.
what happened to Elvis in that same
That's
diet.
right. That's
right.
That's the Elvis diet right there.
Yeah, so peanut butter, not nearly as good as almond butter, right?
Not even, no, I can't say it. They're similar. The problem is most peanut butter is your Jif type peanut
But
butter.
you're good. Let's talk about the good version of things.
Like the
If
grind
you-
at the Whole
Yeah, if
Foods
you
type.
grinded it yourself, it's very similar. The problem is peanuts can be somewhat inflammatory. It's not really a nut. It's
And walnuts kind of the best?
not kind of. They're up there. They're the best nut you can have without overly paying for a nut, meaning macadamias are like buying cocaine. They're just very expensive.
Love those.
Cocaine?
Party on
Yeah.
All of it.
That's the best.
We
Imagine being in a bathroom with Vinny trying to buy macadamia nuts, talking to your ear off.
Give him a little bump.
I do want to. I told you I love macadamia nuts, and I told you 3 years ago, I got a gift. I got a Christmas gift from Jimmy, and was a medium big box, and I lifted it. It was 60 pounds. I was like, what could this be? And I opened it up. It was like 17 packs of macadamia nuts because I shared an office with Danny Two Sheets and Jimmy Kimmel. Neither one of them like macadamia nuts. And I was
How is that possible?
That's what.
They're so fatty and rich.
So here's where we were at. Both of them hated macadamia nuts, but loved to play Scrabble. So I was fundamentally opposed to every engagement with these guys. They both didn't really like nuts at all. But Jimmy, when I went on my tirade about how much I love macadamia nuts, and he now then buys me huge, Costco-sized sacks of macadamia nuts.
I mean, he's a nice friend.
Yeah.
But I don't have a late night show, so no. Macadamia nuts are great. Walnuts are great. Pecans are great. Almonds are great.
Can I say this? The best form of the macadamia nut is that little blue container that people used to come back from Hawaii.
I brought those back to you guys.
Yeah, Brian brought us those.
People used to.
They're so good.
3 years ago.
No, I mean, it was a thing.
Yeah.
I grew up in North Hollywood. It
At
was
the
like
airport,
they weren't there. Someone had to mule them back from somewhere, and they're very precious.
Yeah.
But they taste a lot better than the ones in the sack at the Trader Joe's. And it's because they're so oily. And I'm wondering if there's something they put on them because they taste so good.
Vinny might know. They're famously Hawaiian, right? You go to Hawaii, everything's crusted macadamia nuts. There must be. Are there other places in the world that produce
probably somewhere in some rainforest in Patagonia, but I don't know.
Chris, find the ingredients to that blue can and see if they don't spray it with some sort of shit oil.
Is this the one?
Mauna Loa?
Yeah.
That's the one you get at the airport in Hawaii.
Let's get the back of that can.
Is it just macadamia nuts and salt, or do they put some shitty oil
you can't put
on
salt on it and get it to hold unless they put but macadamias are fat enough. Maybe they just get the salt on them.
It's just ooze oil.
All right, now he'll find that. Your best friend Howie Mandel.
Oh no!
Was
What's wrong
trending.
with him?
He was trending.
Is he okay for real?
Did his asshole fall out?
Come on.
I heard that he was trending over a prolapsed anus.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And then I said, I don't want to know any more about this. And I was told, no, it's not his. It's somebody else's or something.
No,
I was getting ready to text him.
Don't you dare show it.
No, we have a censored version if you want to just
let's see that
video. Because what happened
Close your eyes. I want to see the whole
He posted this on TikTok. He has 9.9 million followers on TikTok. Just posted this out of the blue, and everyone, even on Twitter, was just freaking out over this. So
I want to see it.
When my friend Neil bent over, this happened. Does somebody know, is this COVID related? And if it is, what do we do about it?
All right. I'm scared.
I didn't get to see.
Come on, Chris.
I saw enough.
Let's see it.
It was
No!
Show him after the
listen,
show.
I'm still trying to get over 2 girls, 1 cup. I'm
Bob Schimmel, may he rest in
I'm
peace.
still in therapy for the time the great Robert Schimmel called me into the kitchen of KLSX and popped up his laptop and went, have you seen this? By the way, Schimmel, Robert Schimmel, the stand-up, very funny stand-up, and just a great guy. He used to show up and bring fruit. Remember, he started bringing
fruit platter every
He'd bring
time.
offerings,
He wasn't like he was on stage. He
very
was
warm,
very kind,
very sweet, and very funny stand-up. And he just popped open his laptop, and he was like, Adam, enjoy some cassava melon. And check this out. And I was like, okay. And boom, right into the 2 girls, 1 cup.
Yeah.
And so, again, that's something I've been dealing with for a number of years. And then, and then Bob passed.
Yeah.
So how do I have so much anger and pent up? So I wrote a letter to him
You gotta
after
burn
he
it in the
died. I went out to the pier and I lit it and then scattered it over the open. But it was very harshly
cathartic.
worded. And you're gone. You don't have to deal with 2 girls in 1 cup anymore. But it lives on in my psyche. And I'm going to feel the same way about the prolapsed anus. I'm just getting through the tunnel and into the light of the 2 girls, 1 cup.
I can help you with the 2 girls, 1 cup thing.
And Chris, that must have been like 08 or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, I don't think Schimmel wasn't alive. He
Yes,
was.
he was.
He was getting pretty bad then.
You can talk to my therapist.
I can help you.
He was there long enough to show me.
He was there. It was the radio show era, which was 06 to 09.
Yeah.
And I saw him outside Cedars Cancer Center when
Yeah.
I was going through treatment and he was going through treatment. You're not supposed to approach other patients. That's kind of a rule. But
Brian, have you seen this?
I kind of knew him and we exchanged some kind words, and he died in a car crash of all
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, 07 is Two Girls,
I
One
tell you
Cup.
what, after the
Let's
show,
catch up to those girls. How August booked those ladies. Yeah.
after the show, I'll take you out for some chocolate soft serve, and we can talk about it and see if we can
I
get you
need a
over
hug.
it.
Get back in your car.
Yeah.
Drive out of here, pal.
You make yourself a land kayak, son, and paddle your ass away from the studio.
Speaking of fruits, good fruits.
But anyway, just so
Oh, please.
Howie got
Oh.
into trouble, not for his prolapsed anus, but for freaking everyone out.
Yeah,
I think
pictures
that's
jarring.
why he,
Can you shove that back in?
yeah,
You shouldn't.
evidently. So that's what happened to Howie.
It has since been deleted, but he still hasn't commented or made any comment about it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was
Talk to your
why
friend about his
Howie
tweets,
Mandel was
Vinny.
trending. Sorry,
Dude,
Brian.
when I was on one of the more recent rounds of chemo and I was losing a lot of weight, I went down from like the high 160s to 133. I called Vinny. I was doing anything I could to stay keto, but also put on weight or to stop losing weight. And one of the I was doing a lot of smoothies, with the protein powder and the MCT oil and collagen and everything, all the peptides. And one of the fruits I found, there's a lot of research that has the lowest amount of sugar per ounce or whatever is watermelon. Now, of course, you can eat a lot of watermelon.
Really? It's
Yeah.
my favorite fruit.
Really?
It's just so spongy, and I love the
Vinny
texture
can
of
confirm or
watermelon.
deny.
It's
but
mostly sugar.
lowish.
It has water and sugar.
Well, no, it's got a high. It has a lot of sugar, but it's so much water and fiber that you would have to eat the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So you're fine with watermelon.
Well, and lots of
did not
cheerleaders
know
love
that.
to go on the watermelon diet.
Yeah.
So they shit themselves for 3 days.
I was just assuming that was summer fruit bad, but good.
love.
I mean, don't eat a watermelon. There'll be a lot of sugar.
But have a slice. Is the macadamia nuts? What do we got? in there?
Ingredients: nuts, sea salt.
I guess when you
Boom.
roast them, the
There
oil
you go.
comes
Yeah.
out.
Or like when you sweat vegetables,
Yeah.
like you sweat zucchini
Yes,
or eggplant.
yes.
It could be sweating
All right,
the nuts.
I'm in now. I'm in.
Seriously.
I'm in because the jumbo sack that Jimmy got me from Costco times 20. You open it up and it takes 4 months to eat that many macadamia
Right.
nuts, and they'll
Get spongy.
yeah, they just kind of
Really?
turn. They turn like oil
Yeah.
will not
Yeah.
congeal. What
Rancid.
word? They'll go a little rancid. Doesn't stop me from eating them or feeding them to Phil. That's for sure. But they will go on you because the promise of the resealable sack has never really been realized. I've spent 20 minutes trying to get the fucking thing to marry, and at some point I just flip it over on itself
Chip
and
flip.
shove it back, and then at some point I show up the next day and it's open.
Yeah.
It's just the promise of that sack that reseals.
Yeah.
Never
It's more
happened.
We've been
missed
through
than
it
hit.
here before.
All right.
True.
The last but not least, because Piven's here, right?
I got to see this crow.
Look.
Oh, the crow.
Now look. I've been talking about my tack crows and using them and training them, and people send me videos. Oh, the crow befriended the woman, and the crows offer the woman gifts. They find Pop Tops and things that are shiny, and they give it to her.
My mother-in-law has crows that come and bring her gifts.
And they will find, which doesn't make her sound hot.
She's a friend to all.
Anytime there's a gal,
creatures.
part of the discussion is, well, she thinks like you do politically, and she's very much into. She likes action adventure movies, and crows give her shit. That's like, hold on.
You met her at the wedding. She's
I
lovely.
need to see a picture now.
How dare you?
So, all right, crows give her stuff. Again, they'll find one earring in a park or something
Yeah.
and drop it off once they befriend. So they will attack if the scientists who study crows have to go out and collect the crow's eggs from the nest, and they must wear a mask now when they go out, like a Supreme Court justice. You want to go to Morton's, you better don't put the Richard Nixon one up. Obama, that's a little appropriation. Bill Clinton. All right, but the point is they have to disguise themselves because the crows recognize them and then attack them when they go out to their cars. I mean, they think like we think, essentially. They use tools to get stuff out of stuff they can't reach. They'll
wait for the car to drive over the
They can't open
nuts.
a walnut.
Yeah.
They'll leave it in the street till a car runs over it. Like, they're super crafty.
What we're hearing is there's some cognition going on.
A lot of cognition. In Europe, they train them to pick up cigarette butts and drop them off in a receptacle.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, for treats.
Yeah, they get a little treat. They just harness them.
Okay.
And so I'm saying we could use them to work on mass shootings. The supermarket in Buffalo. Guy comes in, starts shooting, crow on the head.
Peck his eyes out.
See someone with a little body armor?
We're going to shorten this thing up. I mean, I'm not, you may shoot a cashier, but after that, there is no reloading with a crow flying at your fucking head. All right, this is the latest. Crow enjoying itself. A snowy, steep-pitched steel metal roof. And someone looks like they're taking it from the adjacent building. They got a crow on the top, standing on a plastic lid, scurrying down to the bottom, sliding on it, picking it up the beak.
Back to the
Flies
top.
back up to the top for another ride.
Going for another run. Going for another run on this lid.
Oh, that's great.
Out entertaining itself. Like a kid would do it with a toboggan on a snow day.
This is funny because it's not like, oh, maybe he's hurt and that's the only way to get down. He can fly. He's just having fun.
Yes. All right.
I love
They're
it.
sentient. We could teach them to do anything for a couple of kernels of corn.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put them to work, people. That's all I'm saying. Picking up cigarette butts, attacking mass shooters. Let's do it.
One of the superpowers we want as humans is to be able to freely fly.
Mm-hmm.
This is an animal that can fly, and he wants to snowboard.
Right.
It's amazing how that, we all want what we don't have.
That was so powerful,
Yeah,
Vinny.
really poetic.
Wow.
Profound.
So much for a Monday. Woo!
We should
Mind
stop
blown.
before. It's not going to get any better than that.
All right. The Jeremy Piven is out there. I'll tell you guys about the Jordan Harbinger Show. Different kind of sponsor for this episode. The Jordan Harbinger Show. As a fan of fascinating podcasts with interesting people, well, then you should definitely check it out if you're listening to this podcast. There's an episode for everyone, no matter what you're into. Jordan talks with Scott Adams about the art of persuasion in a world where facts don't matter. You can go inside the dark world of wildlife trafficking. Jordan's been on the show a few times. Had him on me and Drew's show a few times. Always a good conversation. You always find something useful to apply to your own life, like routine changes to boost productivity, or slight mindset tweaks to change how you see the world. We enjoy the show, and I think you're going to enjoy it as well. So search for the Jordan Harbinger Show. That's HARB as in boy, IN as in Nancy, GER, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to finer podcasts. Vinny, Beyond Impossible is the name of his latest doc. It's been out for a little bit. Available to rent or to buy on Amazon. And the podcast, Fitness Confidential, with Vinnie Tortorich, I should say as well. Fat, the documentary, you guys should watch that. I'll tell you what you should do. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Vinnie Tortorich. All right, Jeremy Piven is going to be in studio, and we'll talk to him right after this.
The Adam Carolla Show presents Jeremy Piven's birthday cocktail party for July 26th. Let's see who's invited. Let's welcome playwright and winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature, George Bernard Shaw. Psychiatrist, Carl Jung. The author of Brave New World, Aldous Huxley. Comedian Gracie Allen. Jason Robards is here. Film director Stanley Kubrick. The father of the Jackson 5, Joe Jackson. Let's drift away with Dobie Gray. Singer Darlene Love. Mick Jagger. Helen Mirren is here. The drummer for Queen, Roger Taylor. American figure skater, gold medalist, Dorothy Hamill. Sandra Bullock just showed up. Jason Statham is here. So is Kate Beckinsale. And Haven't seen this guy in a while. Kevin Spacey just joined the party. Jeremy Piven is on the Adam Carolla Show.
Jeremy from so many great movies, Grosse Point Blank and Singles, Black Hawk Down, one of our favorites, as well PCU, Old School, Serendipity. Don't sleep on that as a romantic comedy. And so many more.
Swoonworthy. Don't sleep on PCU as a foretelling of things to come.
People love that movie, and it's true.
We're not gonna protest. We're not gonna protest.
Yeah, that and Idiocracy are the two films I should show my kids going, they knew. And then I'll get them to read in 50 Years We'll All Be Chicks, my book, and they'll go, some people saw this shit coming, people. 3 consecutive Emmys for playing Ari Gold, which I can never get enough of. And we've talked about all that stuff. And dates, live dates coming up. Irvine Improv, July 15th and 16th. Zany's Comedy Club, Nashville, Tennessee. That'll be September 15th through the 17th. And Jeremy's out there crushing it with stand-up and is really taken a really yeoman's-like, work-like, lunch pail Joe approach to stand up. You'll see him every night at the club. Every night I show up, he's there.
Yeah.
We just did a benefit a couple of weeks ago at the Improv, and he's good. It's not an actor trying stand up anymore.
Thank you. Yeah. Unbeknownst to me, I used to suck. and you know, it's what's interesting is no one tells you. And I mean this when I say I just want to hear the truth. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my mom, I was talking with my mom because I have a huge heart. I have biggest heart in Hollywood. I see my mom all the time. And I speak the truth to a lot of people, and she's like, you know, you have to stop doing that because a lot of people don't want to hear it. And I actually do. So when someone says to me, man, that's really hacky, or what are you doing, or whatever, give it to me. Whereas, as you know, most people can't take it.
Well, somebody called in when I was doing maybe my home improvement show or something, and he just said, don't get mad, get better. Like when someone fucking tells you, hey, you're doing this, or stop doing that, or like you're late all the time, or maybe that joke isn't working, don't get angry, get better. Don't get angry, show up on time. Like you have a choice. You're at a crossroads. You could get mad, or you could get better.
And I read this quote the other day because I spent a lot of time on Instagram. It's really good for your soul, by the way. It's like Instagram. It's my Bible. And there was this quote about when you get angry at someone, it's like you're punishing yourself for them fucking up. Mm-hmm. And it's heavy. That's heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because you just, get angry and furious and you're just destroying yourself.
It's like when they say holding resentment is drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get the same thing that your mom said to you, with a slight version of it, which is people always say, but you have to know what that sounds like coming from you. And I'm always like, why coming from me? I'm just telling you, do this or fix that, or it might be better this way. Why it's always coming? There's a lot of the messenger, coming from you, sort of thing. And
but that sounds like someone that is not willing to hear what you're saying. And is saying, okay, well, coming from you, I'm not able to receive that.
I think everybody goes into a slightly defensive posture when people say, let's talk about your art a little bit. Let's talk about a joke or a film or a podcast or something like it. But everyone will have the initial, it's really about digging in. So I think someone will go, hey, that joke didn't work that well. And you'll initially go into a thing where you kind of go, I know, I just was thinking about that on the way in. I hadn't really put a lot of time in it. So it's a little bit excuse/defense. You know what I mean? And we all do it. We all go,
I didn't try that hard.
I go, that's a new one. I was just doing the beats. Yeah. You saw it in some rough form or something. No one ever goes, I've been honing and crafting that joke over decades. They go, I was just, but then after the initial defensive posture, which we all kind of assume. It's really like someone pushes against you and you kind of dig your feet in a little. It's really the next stage. The people that don't learn anything stay in that posture the entire fucking time. The others sort of loosen their grip a little and their stance a little, and they go, yeah, well, what do you think would make that bit work better? Or maybe I could work harder on it, or some version
But
of that.
also we know in real time if it's working or not.
Right.
Yes.
They're either laughing or they're not. And it's up to you to stay in that moment. And I recently, because I will, and I mean this, take a note from anywhere, because I just want to get better and I want to grind. And the other night, a guy saw me and he said, I don't think that what you're closing with, it doesn't sound like an actual story. And it does really well. And I close on it and I'm like thinking that is an actual story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I was a little confused, but at the same time, I have to take a beat because it is about this guy that was bullying me in high school, and this actually happened to me. So there are some times when you just got to kind of go inward and go like, well, what is it about this that doesn't ring true to people, or whatever that is? So yes, my first reaction, I was really defensive with him. That of course this is true, and it's my closer and it kills, and what are you talking about? But then take a beat and go, well, wait a minute, what am I elaborating in this story that isn't truthful? Like memory is a funny
What's
thing.
bumping him when he's hearing?
What's
it?
he hearing?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, memory's a funny thing. I mean,
Getting funnier by the day.
Yeah,
I got to tell
but
you.
the joke's on us, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, think about what you'd think of an eyewitness to a crime
Jesus.
now versus when you were a kid. It's like that. There was a woman at home and she was sitting in her chair and she looked through her window and she saw the guy mugging. Like,
Right.
I was all right. He did it.
Yeah, of course he was convicted.
Now I'm like that old bitch. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's probably on a bunch of prescription drugs and she's lying, or she doesn't. Yes, memory.
Yeah, and how do you even, when you're dealing with the cops, tell them what gender someone is? How dare you thrust a gender upon someone?
Yeah.
We don't know what gender they are.
It's all everything is open to interpretation.
I'm
now.
glad you said that,
Everything.
because do you know what TV anchors say now? He presented mail.
Oh.
The suspect presented mail.
Oh, okay.
So there's a workaround.
Interesting.
I'm reading. Chris popped up on the screen that you and the great James Caan, who we just lost, would cross paths at the gym.
I would always see him, and I'm sure he's a hero of yours as well. I mean,
Well, I don't want to say hero because it makes it seem like I'm connected to him too well or something. But yeah, I'm
named your
a
son
fan.
after his most beloved character.
That's
right.
true. You
Sonny
can claim
Corleone.
there you go.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean, he's
wife
just-
did that one. I got an Italian,
He's just,
but yeah,
he's just a stud, and kind of a last of a dying breed who just spoke the truth as he knows it at all times, and he's just a badass. And I would see him at the gym, and hey Jimmy, and he who's that? And I say it's Jeremy, and I just kept introducing myself to him. And one time I was hosting. The AFI was honoring Al Pacino, and he came up to me beforehand. He's like, "Give me some love when you intro me." I'm like, "Of course." But every time I see him, he never remembers me, and I'm like, "Bro, you never remember me." And he said, "Why don't you do something memorable, and then I'll remember you?" And so I kicked him in the
James
balls.
Caan. Yeah.
I kicked him in the fucking balls. And yeah, he's an octogenarian, and they were low hanging fruit. Good night, everyone. No.
well, maybe he had that Brad Pitt disease.
Oh yeah, the face can't recognize faces.
I like that. I like that he has
Cross-vaginian?
a note from his doctor
Yeah.
saying, "I'm sorry, I don't
Yeah.
remember you."
Yeah.
And I wonder if he has other afflictions, like, "I'm sorry, I can't eat pussy." It's. Let
You
me
saw what
show
happened to
you-
Michael
Let me
Douglas.
show you
I
the
could.
note. I got a note from the doctor.
Wait, I'm a little confused. Back up for a second. Is that a true story?
Yes.
He has a. Now, is
It
that.
was in the news last
Okay.
week.
He's done 2 interviews saying he doesn't have an official diagnosis, but he cannot recognize faces. So he comes off as aloof and disrespectful because he cannot remember if he's seen you before.
Either way, either it's genius
Yeah.
and it's a great out, or he has an affliction of some sort.
Yeah, he doesn't remember faces. Yeah, he definitely knows the difference between Angelina Jolie and Janet Reno. Like he can aesthetically no problemo.
Right.
But once he's done,
He won't recall.
He won't recall.
Right. I just read energy. That's all I do is read energy. I don't read faces. No, I think that's a real situation. A woman said that to me once as well, that she doesn't remember any faces whatsoever. Yeah, I think that is an affliction.
Yeah, it's like a little glitch in the brain.
It's called being a cunt.
That's right.
No, I'm kidding. Is that too much? Is that too far?
That's just right.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Adam McKay is your brother-in-law?
Yes, sir.
I don't know if I've ever discussed that with you.
Yeah.
Anchorman. Man, Anchorman is so damn funny. I almost said it doesn't get its due, but it almost doesn't.
He's pivoted to serious movies. I'm making air quotes, but he's making great, like
The Big
you know,
Short.
the Vice, and the Big Short.
Well, imagine a guy that was partnered up with Will Ferrell, and started up Funny or Die. And by the way, his daughter, my niece Pearl, broke the internet.
Oh,
That's her, the landlord.
Give me my money, bitch. The little baby.
Right.
The little tiny
Wait,
little-
15, 18 years ago? How long ago was
we gotta
that?
watch that.
Has it been that long?
She's 16 now. if
You're an
you believe it.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's probably like
Seriously, you are an alcoholic.
10 years ago now or something.
Just having a baby parrot these lines was
Dude, that
the
was
fucking
way-
funniest thing we'd
well,
ever heard.
imagine she's a baby and you've got Adam McKay is directing you and feeding you improv lines. And if you look at all of his movies, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, the other guy, Anchorman, all that kind of stuff. And then he, as you said, he pivots to the dramatic stuff and is just crushing it. So he's working on a very high level. But
Winning Time?
yes,
That was amazing.
and
love it.
Succession.
Oh,
He
yeah.
did Succession as well. Unfortunately,
better
there's
got on
not a
board
lot
with
of
that.
nepotism, but other than that, fantastic.
It does seem like,
My phone's not ringing again.
Winning
somehow.
Winning
It's not
Time
ringing
would have
again.
been. There's something, maybe not Jerry West, but there's a role in maybe not Dr. J.
Too short, too Jewish.
But
My
there's
autobiography.
Winning Time, I just feel like something in there for Jeremy Piven. On the other hand,
Yes, that's a good title.
where do you come down on this? And
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. I could not recognize many of the ancillary people in the series,
Yeah.
and I watch it, and you'd go back and IMDb people and
Right.
go, "Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that guy from that guy," but that
Right.
thing, but you wouldn't. And sometimes it can be a distraction because when Piven's in that room of unrecognizable faces, I'm looking at Piven. And
You're absolutely
going,
right.
I know who you
Because
are.
Academy Award winner Adrian Brody, you would never. Oh wait, no,
yes.
he plays Pat Riley. No, here's the reality. The reality is that Adam, and I'm not just saying this because he's my brother-in-law. I legitimately love his stuff. I've just been a fan of his stuff. The comedies are just classics. And you're looking at The Big Short and Vice and everything else. Don't Look Up. And the reality is that he's an amazing father and husband and all these things. And I just think, he produced a movie I did called The Goods, which was great and went really well. And I just finished a movie with my sister, Shira Piven. I got the rights to an Arthur Miller piece about a Jewish tap dancer in 1937. And by the way, when I pitched this movie, that's when they said, check, please. Literally, no one wanted to make this movie. And it took me 10 years to make it. And you were alluding to the fact that I grind. So I've been studying tap dance for 8 years.
What?
Yeah. And so I
Prove
learned.
it.
Prove it.
No,
We
no,
have
no,
boards.
Bring the tap board in.
twist your ankle.
So
Perfect.
the two things that I've been doing for the past decade, are learning how to tap dance and learning how to be a stand-up comic. So it's like the two hardest things: playing the drums with your feet and making people laugh in real time.
Damn.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it. And I always tell the story that when Jeremy came into Loveline 20 years ago, and I was like, how are you in every other movie? And he's like, I work really hard. I commit things to memory. I don't show up with the sides in my lap. I prepare, which I didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like hearing your joke sucks. You're like, oh, let's see now.
It's like when you go, oh, look at them. They look so good in their bathing suit. They never have a hard day. And then next they tell you how hard they diet and how hard they work. And you can be inspired or you can go, fuck that guy. Or it kind of depends what phase you're in, But as you talk about your approach to tap or stand up, it's really the same mindset that we were talking about 20 some odd years ago on Loveline.
Yeah, I just we if you guys were psychiatrists, we could probably dissect this. What's missing? Why do I need to be? What is my fear of mediocrity? This could take a long time, and that would be the sound of people turning the show off. So, but I don't know. I guess just the idea of like, I want to work, and the only way I can or could work is to go in those rooms and beat everyone else out, and so I had to have it memorized and crush it because I'm not physically any type. I'm not any age. You know what I mean? I'm just this weird nebulous situation. You know what I mean?
No,
I played George in Seinfeld.
That's right.
Right.
In the meta version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is very, very surreal.
Although we talked the other day about with the passing of James Caan, there is an opening for tough old Jews.
Tough
so
old Jews.
You
Thank
need to
you.
get in on that.
That's one of those kind of backhanded compliments.
I don't know. It's literally a dying breed of because everyone thinks of us as Nebusha and Woody Allen, but that was a type.
Yeah, I'm not that old.
You got to get there.
Yeah, you can be a TOJ.
I have this joke where I say, I feel like I'm getting really old, man, because I used to look at a woman in a short skirt and be like, wow, she's hot. Now I'm like, I wonder if she's cold.
That's a good joke.
Now, do you write all your own material, or will you collaborate with people or get jokes from other sources?
I would love it if someone, came up and gave me a tag. That would be, that would be amazing. But, as you saw from my stand-up, it's mostly, I started off just stories about my life. So only I can write that. And just grinding on the road, so I don't have people write my stuff. I think that there was, it's funny, I did the Victory podcast with the guys from Entourage, and I think that there was maybe some misunderstanding that someone's writing my stuff, but as you know, it has to come from you. It has to come from me. So no one's writing my stuff. I'm out there in real time, either crushing or bombing.
Where do you come down on people giving you tags, which is a thing that I don't really get involved with because it feels weird. On the other hand, sometimes you have a good punch up on somebody's set because you're watching it before you go on and you go, oh, something pops in your head. Like, that'd be funny if you did this little turn of phrase at the end. But on the other hand, there's a weird line where a comedian is coming up to you after show kind of going, I could make your bit funnier. And then you could be like Jeremy and go, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
On the other hand, do you go up to other people and then what?
I don't, but this is how I know I'm getting better as a comic. It's like the other night I gave someone a tag by accident. We were just kicking it around. He's like, wow, I'm going to take that. I was like, cool. I'm progressing. To give you, people at home an idea of what this would sound like, to get a tag, I do this bit about Mike Tyson because I was kind of his co-host on his podcast for a while. He was on Entourage, and we kind of became friends. And he's a fantastic and eccentric character. That's authentic. Everything you see,
Very authentic.
Very authentic.
But to be fair to Mike, it's a little as on a curve because we were introduced to him as a beast,
Caricature.
a remorseless beast who bit and told people he was going to fuck their wives in front of them and
That's
stuff
Robin
like that. And now he's soft-spoken and cordial.
He had a great one-man show.
You were right. But what I'm saying about that is, Seth Green's a nice guy. But he's always been a nice guy. We don't go, oh my God, he's so friendly now. Like he's so whatever. Mike, we always point out how gentle he is and how nice he is now. But it's a curve because of how we were introduced to him. I like Mike, that being said.
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. He is the antithesis of what he used to be, but he's incredibly open about it.
Right.
And he just gobbles handfuls of mushrooms while you're doing the podcast with him.
Right.
And
right.
it's and I have to be the adult in the room, and it's terrifying.
Right.
But to give you an example about a tag is I tell a story about Mike and I hanging out, and at the very end of the story, you have to come to the Irvine Improv this weekend if you want to see the whole
right.
bit. See what I did, Adam? That organically, kind of a segue. But he and I are talking, and he goes, I don't understand, why are you alone? You shouldn't be alone. You should have like an entourage or something. And his bodyguard goes, look at Mike. Jeremy can handle himself. And he looks at me and he goes, this motherfucker, he looks like he's the captain of a Jewish debate team. That's what he said to me, I swear to God. And someone said afterwards, and I say that crushed me and it hurt me so badly. And then someone gave me a tag. And it happens like once every, it's blue moon, this.
Right.
So they said, after you say, and that hurt me so bad, you should say, because I never made captain.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's a great tag.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, bless you. And by the way, I think he gave me that tag because he saw me working, and it'd be easy to see some actor up there just, running out the clock, being lazy. He's like, no, this guy respects the game, and I respect him. And he saw it, and he gave it to me, and I'll take it and run with it.
How long a set do you have now? Because you got a headline, you got to do an hour or 50 minutes.
Well, I only have
11
11 minutes. That's the awkward part. I just kind of dance and just point to people. Yeah, no.
Because I see Jeremy out, it's 15 minutes here and 20 minutes there because that's the lot of time. But that's not the weekend at Irvine.
Yeah, I have an hour, and there's more. And the hard part for me is trying to kind of curate 15 minutes. That's the hard part for me because I'm a ham. And I love to go on and on and on. And so that's what's hard for me is when I see you out and we're doing gigs, I'm like, God, how do I do this again, this 15-minute thing? You know what I mean? So I have gotten to the point where I feel very comfortable, and Irvine's a big old stage, and I get to just run around and have a good time. Mike Binder, I don't know if you remember him.
Sure.
He's getting back up on stage. He's gonna open. Monty Franklin. I like to stack the deck and just get killers. Just to kind of, it helps me to, you can't, I think there are people out there that go, let me just get someone who's kind of like a soft opener to make me look good. And I just don't think you don't grow like that.
Well, and I wouldn't think you're doing yourself any favors by tamping down the energy in the room for when you come out. Wouldn't you have to work harder that way? When you get kind of a soft guy, it's like, I mean, when people are really killing, everybody's happy and everybody's excited for the next guy.
Yeah. I'll answer for him.
Please do.
These guys, it's almost, they're doing a much shorter period of time. And so to keep that up for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes was one thing. To do it for an hour is kind of another. Mm-hmm. So like there's a party that's like, I want energy in the room. Right. But this guy's running a sprint. I'm kind of running a 10K here. Yeah. My exemplified by my carpet cleaning boss, Art Fuss, who when we'd be cleaning the Colony kitchen or we'd be cleaning the Sizzler or something, he walked around. He didn't do the work. We did the work. But every once in a while, he'd grab the carpet cleaning steam wand from us and he'd go, look guys, here's how you do it. And he'd go berserk for like 14 seconds, like, come on, go at it hard. And then he'd hand it back to you and he'd go out in the parking lot and smoke. And I'd be like, you only had to do that for this period of time, and your plan is So some of these guys, they got 20 minutes. It's the 20 minutes they have. They've honed it to a razor sharp edge, and they'll go out there and just like pap, 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 pap. And then you'll kind of come out and go, we're going to slow it down a little bit because I can't do that for 3 times as long. But Jeremy, sorry, you were going to answer.
I was just going to say that like, stand-up is so confronting on so many different levels that for me, like, it's like going to the gym and I a guy who's doing what you're saying, he's going for his. He's gonna sprint for 12 to 15 minutes as hard as he can and hand me the mic. Like, I in a weird way like that challenge. Like, oh, okay, they're literally tired from laughing. This guy crushed. How do I, get them and keep them from an hour? It's just hard. It's hard work, but like, the other night, like when I'm getting up on stage and I hear a comic say, anyone thinks they can do comedy now. And I hear that just as I grab the mic. And for me, the way I used to be, I would get angry. I'd get reactive and I'd get out of my game and be like, but now it's like, no. No, how do you just, it sounds like I'm being so ethereal and kumbaya right now, but how do you literally just breathe, let that go, and just be present and have a great set? And if anything, let that inspire you. And to me, that it is inspiring. I love being counted out.
I didn't know you could hear me for the record, but...
There you go. That's the kind of comedy you can expect.
You have to overcome we know this guy from somewhere else thing. And there's also that element of many folks have gone from acting to into this field, but not taken and done it as, you guys know who I am, and I'm going to tell some old Entourage stories or whatever TV show I'm from stories, and that'll be good enough to get paid and put a name on a marquee that people remember, but not saying I want to be proficient and great at this thing, this art form, this discipline,
Yeah, but I think what's interesting is everyone's got a different journey. And as you know, my journey, I've been on stage since I was 8 years old. So, like when you see Entourage or any of these performances, it wasn't like I'm some cute kid that got discovered at a mall or I have a sex tape. You know what I mean? I just, to a fault, have been grinding my whole life. I'm still single. I'm 200 years old. That's another story. I'm very unevolved, and I'm a late bloomer. And how much time do you guys have?
We got all the time in the world. Yeah, where are the kids and the wives and all that?
That's a great question. I think growing up in Chicago and being on the stage and the idea of turning down work is sacrilegious. Like, how could you ever do that? So I'm always looking for that next job. And so I let a lot of years go by, and you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, this is not cute anymore. But I can bring all that stuff on stage, which is fun to speak honestly about that journey. But, the good news is I'm incredibly vain. So I keep a good skincare regimen.
Nice.
Sure, yeah, glistening.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of dewy, right?
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. See how I got that compliment from her?
I know.
Worked for it. I worked for it.
Well, let's ask a hypothetical at the risk of offending our guest.
Uh-oh.
I always kind of had this theory that a woman who never wanted kids, something is up. Something
Thank
is
you.
up. It doesn't make them bad. Well, your stepmom.
I got one now.
But some form of this. And then sort of like when you go, no, she just never wanted kids. Or it's a couple who never wanted kids or something. I always it's a little dubious to me. Like I'm always like, so there's some psychological dynamic. Maybe she had a really shitty child, and usually you give them a glass of Chardonnay and they'll tell you about their childhood. Now you kind of get why they don't want kids or what have you.
But you're super envious.
Yeah.
I mean, super.
But the guy who doesn't want kids, we don't judge quite the same, but there's some judgment. There's a little judgment. There's a little, maybe it's a little selfish, a little self-involved. Like, where would you come down? Women get a ton of it, and kind of rightfully so, just because biologically, whatever you identify as, we have to. You want kids.
If you're a birthing person,
yes, you want to birth. You want to earn your namesake. But the guys who don't, is it half as much suspicion? Is it zero?
it's much less.
Yeah, I don't hear any hate for men who don't
I mean,
have kids.
I understand. I know what Adam's saying, which is like there's inherent, like you're like, oh, that guy sure likes having his own time, or living the life, or whatever.
Or he's a confirmed bachelor.
Oh, yeah, which means gay.
There's just options.
Yeah.
I wish I was gay.
Me too.
Man, it would be so. I could
you and
end this
I.
horrible charade. You know what I mean?
Which one?
The whole thing. Just I mean, dating, especially now in LA, it's madness, and I do explore. It's very cathartic because I do talk about it on stage. But no, there was
Is
nothing.
it a Raya thing? Is there an app? How do we do it?
First of all, there's nothing premeditated about. I love kids, I really do, and I come from a great family, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, my priorities were I was a slave to my ambition. Get the next job, keep going, and that's the priority, and you can't do that. But it's never too late to grow. I mean, you look at guys like Clooney or Jeff Goldblum or any of these guys, they're having kids later on.
Yeah, that's the advantage.
Yeah.
Later in life, that's reality.
Yeah.
For guys.
Yeah, indeed.
Tony Randall had a kid when he was like 80.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just got to be Dusty.
Anthony Quinn may have done it when he was
Dusty.
Don't you think?
Well, you said it.
Yeah.
I think Anthony Quinn had one when he was like 82.
Wow.
Or maybe Tony was 78 or
Something
something.
I could be wrong, and someone please look this up for me. I think Norman Lear had a kid at 90.
What?
What?
That's not possible.
1,000%. Please look
It
it
could
up.
be possible. Well, first thing,
No.
Yeah,
I've had Norman Lear. I've been saying he's 92 for 7 years.
He's
Yeah.
100.
He's 100 now.
He's 100.
And he did have another family, a late
Yes.
family, a something family. So,
Yes.
so there's time.
Indeed, there is. Indeed, there is. I feel pathetic.
So
But-
how's dating work?
Well, I was on a date and this woman said to me, she goes, I don't date actors. And I said, why? She goes, you never know when they're acting.
Oh, wow.
And
And you
that's-
said, great, I'm a stand-up.
Right.
No, I said, well, I'm not. We're not on a set. I'm not.
I'm not getting paid for
I'm not
this.
getting paid. No one yelled action. I'm here. I'm empathetic. I'm present. I want to hear what's going on. Line. See what I did? See what I did? I got you.
Button.
It was a button, and I got it on my own. Can you believe it?
Anyway, I got a tag for that one.
I would love it.
Then the button is you go. You're at a fine dinner and you go. The reason I invited you out to craft service. I'm sorry, Morton Steakhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's not a button. Use the one. Keep the one.
No,
the one you got.
I like where you're going with that.
But you meet women. They all know who you are.
No, they don't.
Really?
1,000% they don't. 1,000%.
They got to be under 26 then.
I had a buddy over who's an artist, and he brought a friend, and she saw I have a drum kit, and she goes, "Oh, are you a musician?" I'm like, "Oh no, I'm an actor." And she looked at me like I was insane, because I think if you're a little bit older and you say you're an actor and they don't recognize you, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen. And by the way, I don't think that way. I don't walk around going, "Oh, they probably know me."
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. I'm just not that guy. Maybe I'd be more confident if I did.
So if
Maybe
they're
I need-
agreeing to go on a date with you,
yeah.
you think they're agreeing to go on a date with Jeremy Piven, who they've seen on things, or just a nice-looking middle-aged guy who's a creative type who wants to hang out?
From my perspective, there has to be some sort of mutual, interest, and I don't think that they've seen me. Some have, obviously. It depends on the generation. So I'm not even going there, to be honest with you, and also. If they've seen, for instance, Ari Gold, they assume that I'm a lunatic. And I had a woman look at me and go, "What? Drop it." I go, "What's going on?" She goes, "Drop the nice guy shit. Just drop it." And I was just confused. And then I went, "Oh my God, okay, she thinks I'm that guy."
Yeah.
So I almost prefer that they don't. So there's no preconceived notions.
Norman Lear has 6 kids.
Okay.
First one was born in 1947.
It's amazing.
Jesus.
That's
My
great.
father-in-law.
Literally,
Older than my parents.
10 minutes after World War II ended. Norman forgot to pull out.
There you go.
Twins born in 94.
Okay, keep going.
So
That's it. That's the youngest. That's
he
twins
put-
in 94.
he put together 40 years, almost 50 years, 47 years or something, of a span between the kids. And
The 7-year-old's like, what was that, your starter family?
So Norman was born in 22.
1922.
Wow.
So he was 72 when he had the
That is
had
an
the
advanced
twins.
age.
God bless.
Yeah. And still vocal and out there and doing his shows, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty inspirational.
Yeah, I interviewed him, and the thing I really appreciate about the man is hates his mom. His mom never gave it up. Never gave it up. Like, she was like one of those moms that just like, here's who I am, and I'll never recognize my son and his accomplishments or whatever. And years later, when he'd bring her out to Beverly Hills and all in the Family and all the Jeffersons and Good Times and all the shows, 5 shows going on at once.
Toast of
and
Hollywood.
the Toast of Hollywood just would come over to a cocktail party with big names and stuff, and just could never give it up. Just couldn't recognize.
And he's been trying to get her approval for 100 years.
God damn.
Through the TV set for 100 years.
Yeah.
That's right. If his mom had hugged him, we wouldn't have All in the Family. I agree with you creatively.
Yeah, and same with Joe Jackson and the Jacksons.
See?
Yep.
Right?
Oh, boy. Your birthday buddy, Joe Jackson.
Joe Jackson.
We glossed over it, but in terms of like Hollywood star power, Jeremy might be number one on like Kubrick and Bullock and on and on and on. There were a lot
with
of
the
Hollywood
birthday cocktail
stars
was
there.
incredible.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
All
that
throughout
list is-
history.
Bernie Eccleston, who ran Formula One, bought Formula One. I'll screw it up a little. We were able to interview him for Uppity, the documentary I made. He had a kid at 89.
Wow.
Holy shit.
He owned Formula One. There was a thing like
89.
there was a thing in like, I don't know, 1975 or something. He went to all the race teams and said, like, if everyone gives up $100,000, we will have $10 million and we could buy F1 and we'll sell the TV rights. And all the separate teams were like, nah, fuck off.
Too rich.
He raised $1 million, bought F1, and F1 is the second only to soccer. Is like the biggest sport worldwide in the world. And he fucking owned that shit from the 70s. So
Wow.
still, his son is named Ace. Good for him. 2020. All right, let me tell you about Stamps.com, and then we'll roll into some news over here. If you got a small business, every second counts. Why waste time at the post office? Use Stamps.com. You can mail and ship with Stamps.com. I've used it here for 12 years plus to ship merch and books and paperwork. The first thing we did, one of the first sponsors we had was Stamps.com. They have an exclusive discount up to 30% off of USPS rates and 86% off UPS. So whether you're in the office sending invoices, an Etsy shop sending products, or warehouse shipping truckloads of orders, Stamps.com is where you go. And it's your shipping solution. You can sign up now. Use the promo code Adam for a special offer, including 4-week trial, plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Stamps.com. Click on the microphone, top of the homepage, and enter Adam. All right, Piven's going to hang. We'll come back and do some news right after this.
Give the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking viral. Weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden. Kamala. Beat news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
The will they, won't they Elon Twitter saga continues. Elon Musk wants out of this deal. He is not playing this time. On Friday, he said the $44 billion deal was over because Twitter violated parts of their merger agreement. Musk also claimed that Twitter made false and misleading representations. We've talked about that. In a filing, his lawyer said that since entering the agreement, Twitter fired several high-ranking executives, and they refused to respond to multiple requests for details about these fake accounts and bots. Twitter's chairman pledged to take legal maneuvers to ensure the agreement goes through.
Elon should do this all for this. This is one reason. He is going to lose his cleaning deposit. And his cleaning deposit is $1 billion. That's the cleaning deposit.
Oh, my God.
Like he
You
went.
never get those back.
No.
Yeah, if Twitter was an RV, you just went and secured it for the 4th of July and then backed out at the end, and they went, well, we're keeping
the
the deposit.
deposit.
But that deposit is $1 billion.
Oofa.
So now you go, well, that's got to sting. But here's
not if you're really on
see, this is
Musk.
the beautiful. This is the beautiful.
Yeah.
Here's what everyone wants to say. That guy lost $1 billion. So I'd say,
Yeah.
Jeremy Piven just lost $1 billion. And then everyone would go, that doesn't mean shit to him.
Yeah.
And that
Doesn't
makes
move
you
the
the most
needle.
successful person in the world.
Yeah.
You're still the richest guy
That's
in the world.
fuck me money.
Your stock could shift and make another $4 billion or lose another $10 billion or whatever. But everyone going, $1 billion, that's not shit to him. That's what you want people saying about
Yeah.
you.
So you're saying it was premeditated, this whole thing?
They don't.
Can you
He
imagine?
wanted to lose it.
There's a lot of different thoughts about why he did this, and is it crazy like a fox? He's going to crash Twitter stock prices? Did he want to do that? Did he actually want it? There's a lot of different thoughts about why he did it.
Just being like a maniacal genius.
He's going to be on the hook for $1 billion.
Wow.
It's basically a deposit.
Yeah.
A $1 billion deposit.
So Twitter just made $1 billion for nothing, for doing nothing.
Right, except for their stock price is going to go down a lot. And that they may lose that billion in stock.
Maybe he'll just pay him in Bitcoin.
Yeah. Dogecoin.
Gotta hurry.
Yeah, he's worth like $238 billion.
I thought it was more than that.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. So
He's going to land on his
nothing
feet.
for him.
Yeah. $1 billion. $1 billion practical joke.
I left when I was at one of my poor estates renting a house in La Crescenta. I went to an ATM. I would frequently go to an ATM that was on Foothill in La Crescenta, and I knew I had a 20. I knew it was good for 120. I had $20 in the bank with my ATM card, and I could get it. But the charge for the ATM was $1.
Can't get it.
And I didn't have $21.
No.
I said 20 and 50 cents or something. And it's like, no. But one time I went there, and it was the kind of thing sometimes where you'd pull the card out first, and then you'd wait, and then the money would come out. I somehow left $40 in there. I was devastated.
You got to kill yourself.
I was destroyed. I was like,
Where do you go from
I
there?
remember just sitting at home, just staring at a wall.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that just for a little perspective when you start to get bitchy about funds?
I was forced to in this moment, but but I should put a little rubber band around my cuff and snap it, because yes, I remember leaving cash in the ATM and just being distraught. I remember like getting home and going, oh shit, there's turned around and hightailed gone.
That'll ruin your month.
Yeah. When I first moved here, I was down to my last $40 and used it to fill up my tank, and I put the money in, and I came back and I'm like, what the fuck? It's not moving. Gave him the wrong number, like it said count, like tank 7 instead of 6.
You fill up someone else's car?
Yeah. I was apoplectic.
Yeah.
It was the fucking worst. It's nice not to be there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's talk about this woman who has we've never heard of her except for this, has gone viral over the weekend. A pregnant woman sparked this national debate after she got a ticket for driving in the HOV lane on the highway, claiming that she was traveling with 2 people since she's 34 weeks pregnant. So let me have her explain. Here's a clip of her telling what happened and how the cop reacted.
Officer said, okay, well, you're in an HOV lane. And I said, yes. And he said, great. Is there somebody else in the car? And looking around, I said, well, yes, there is. And he said, well, where? As he's peeking in the car. And I pointed to my stomach. I was like, we're right here. And he said, well, it's 2 bodies outside of the body. So that doesn't count.
So, 2 passengers behind the steering wheel. That's illegal. Haul her to the post.
That's right.
Well, Brandy Batone, she told also the Daily Morning News that she didn't believe the state should have it both ways. As the Texas Penal Code recognizes an unborn child as a person, she now has to hire an attorney, take it to court in July, and good for her. She goes, given the Roe v. Wade situation, how does this not count? I'm not even taking a political side. She said, if I'm taking a stance, it's pro-woman. Which one is it? Is this a person? Is this not a person?
Well, all right. Separate thought as I was crawling up the 405, because as Brian and I always lament, people go 28 miles an hour slower uphill than they do downhill, even though
are they running up it?
Small pedal under your right foot. You just depress it at 5/16 of an inch and make up for the grade. But they always. And then there's the fucking diamond lane. Mm-hmm. And I realized because we have the diamond lane, the person in the left lane doesn't think they're in the fast lane. They think they're in the one next to the fast lane that we don't qualify for. So the person in the left lane, not the diamond, just the one next to it, is crawling up the fucking 405, and everyone is pulling out and going around them. Can we get people in that left? Can we first decide that left lane is the fast lane when there is a diamond lane, and you must hustle in that lane?
I don't think there's any debate.
I'd be okay with that.
Well, there was amongst this slow driving campers in front of me. Then also, the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law. I guess the idea with the HOV lane is you're carpooling with a coworker or whatever. So I get it. This may be a bridge too far. The bigger question is with people, being injured, like getting their nose broken by airbags and stuff. You got your big pregnant fetus like right in front of that fucking steering wheel. That airbag goes off.
Has to have happened
baby's
many
coming
times.
out.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that how it works?
That's how it
It's
works.
like
It pops out?
backing over the toothpaste.
Oh my God, I never thought of it that way.
Should probably be a rule against
No driving?
Well, geez, you can shut the airbag off.
But that's not safe.
I don't think you can shut it off on the driver's side.
Oh.
But you can do it maybe on the passenger side. But I'm just saying, if you're really presenting as pregnant and the wheels, you're short lady, short arms, wheel down low, boom. And then pretty soon we're going to have airbag babies like we have, what is it? Like
Anchor baby?
No. Well, we have anchor babies.
That's a thing.
I know.
No, there was fluoridamide or whatever.
Thalidomide.
Thalidomide babies.
Thalidomide.
Like we're gonna have that guy, and we're gonna be Jeremy. You're gonna show up to some workplace, and some older guy with a little drool, and he's gonna be trying to get the hefty bag back into the can, and you're gonna go, what's up with that guy? Airbag baby. When he was before he was born, his mom got in a fender bender and the airbag went off. And
You're bagging your groceries.
he lives, he's happy.
It's
He's
nice to get those people jobs.
They have a home for airbag babies. He lives there. They take care of themselves. He's able to work, but he can't. You know
what? Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Someone dispenses his medication.
That's right.
Yeah.
He's an airbag baby. We're gonna have him. Oh, mark my words.
No, they're marked. Well, let's move on to a couple of stories of how well things are going in both LA and San Francisco. You probably didn't know the name Kim Glass before the weekend, I'm assuming, but she is an Olympian, a volleyball Olympian. I'm sure your daughter knows who she is. She won a silver medal at the 2008 Beijing Olympics. She said she was attacked by a homeless man in LA this weekend and nearly lost her eye in the incident. I'll have her explain it, but Glass said it all happened Saturday. She was walking, leaving lunch at a restaurant, and in a series of videos she posted on Instagram, she said she left the restaurant, she noticed a man in the street, kind of crazy looking, something in his hand.
You know what she looks like? Airbag baby.
Oh, Brian, God damn it.
Could have been.
She said the guy was looking unstable, and before she knew it, there was this metal object he was holding, and it fucking pelted her in the face, her eye socket, her nose, and here's what she had to say.
And he just looked at me.
Badly bruised.
Eye
closed.
I do have multiple fractures up here and a small one here.
Hit across the face with a pipe.
Guys, just be safe out there because you keep your head in a swivel off your phones. I mean, mine wasn't, but I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I guess they caught the 51-year-old man and with a felony assault, deadly weapon, not given bail. But I will say about this. You got to be gorgeous if that happens to you and it's obvious that you're still hot.
Yeah.
Like it's
her
obvious she's hot.
Shine through.
Yeah.
That's your take on the story?
Yeah, that's my
she
takeaway.
did look hot.
Real lack of empathy there, Jeremy.
Wow, interesting.
Look, crazy people on the street with weapons. I don't know how this is going to have a fucking happy ending. I mean, you're insane. And again, we hear all about the crimes where the Crips and the Bloods and that kid got shot and it was for payback because of the shooting at the park during the Crips barbecue. And it's like there's a part of us that has a contact. Nobody likes it, but we go, I'm not a Crip or Blood. I'm just not going to get in any turf wars with anybody. But we're all going to go out to eat.
Yeah,
and they're all going
randomly
to walk out of the restaurant and try to walk to our cars. And we're scattered with homeless people. Also, there's another major part of this homeless problem that no one really ever addresses, which is there's homeless people camped out, flopped out, passed out, sort of sleeping, just kind of stairwells and commercial parking structures or just in alleys or in between buildings and stuff. And you're having to walk past them. And remember that weird anxiety you'd have when you had a roommate and you'd be like, fuck, I gotta go in. I want to get that guy shampoo, but he's asleep, but that thing where you'd open the door and you'd and so you were so on edge because you want to go dude, what's up? Or whatever. Yeah. I walk through the streets kind of not wanting to wake up homeless people that are passed out. Like, I'll be like, don't talk so loud. The guy's trying to sleep over here in this potted plant. Yeah. Like, there's a weird general, and then also a kind of, what is this person who's talking to themselves doing as we pass them on the sidewalk? Might they ball up their fist? Right. And, like, should I walk out into the street and give them a wide berth, but then how do they feel about me walking around them?
Well, I'm really glad you asked that because I want to make sure we get to this since this is sort of a bundle deal. Let's move up to San Francisco real quick. They have a new district attorney that is promising to do something about some of this, which would be nice because this random guy, Ricky Wynn, went viral on Friday after posting a video to Twitter getting off a bus that dozens of kids get off at this stop for school. Mm-hmm. The stop was just riddled with what looked like just homeless drug addicts all over the place. And the kids just have no thoughts about it. They're not scared. They're just so used to it. They just soldier on. Let me show you a clip of how bad things are getting. Have gotten.
Home safe.
Little kids.
Kids, junkies scattered everywhere.
Come on, man.
It's dystopian. And we're looking at just what I described.
These little kids got to walk through this shit. This shit is crazy.
So for the leaders, they were called the DA Chesa Bowden, and he's been replaced by this woman, Brooke Jenkins, who's touted herself as tough on crime. So we'll see.
Okay, first off, I say it every week. Why do we have to bottom out?
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, why does the relationship have to get to the point where the ex is throwing all my clothing into a bathtub and set it on fire? What about a little counseling 4 months earlier before it gets to the set the house on fire moment? Like, why does everything in politics, especially, San Francisco, LA? Okay. We've been talking about this shit for a decade. Why does the person have to get hit with the pipe in the face after coming back from the Olympics? Why do the poor kids have to be... It's been a decade. Can we move on it, or we just have to fucking flat out bottom out? Just humanity scattered in the streets and fentanyl everywhere and people defecating on the street.
And at what point is bottoming out?
Right.
Every time you see something, well, that's it.
It can't get worse.
Then there's something else.
Yes, go ahead. And it's not a fucking hate crime to clean up the streets.
Yeah,
and
let kids go to school
these people crouched over, shitting on themselves, and being psychotic. Are you doing them any favors? This weird free-range approach to life we've decided on?
San Francisco's been like that for what it feels like longer than LA's been like that. But maybe that's because in downtown LA, that's where a lot of homeless are right now. So we don't see them. So it always felt like San Francisco had a worse problem than we did, but we have no idea.
It's just more concentrated.
Yeah, we did the ribbon cutting of Skid Row in 1963, which somebody should have went, we have a place called Skid Row. Yeah. So it's next to the Forum or the Staples Center, or the big financial centers over there. Yeah, well, what goes on Skid Row? It's people hit the skids over there. They do slam a lot of drugs. They rape each other, and they fashion knives out of windshield wipers. Okay, I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't sign off on the concept of Skid Row. Maybe we got pretty used to the concept of Skid Row for decades. Mm-hmm. Like, Skid Row was it was a great band. It was just, I grew up, when I grew up out here, I was in the San Fernando Valley. It's like, you hit those books, you're going to end up on Skid Row. That's, 1977, Skid Rows.
Did LA come up with the term Skid Row?
I don't know the origins or the date or the Mayor Tom Bradley cut the ribbon in 1973. Wow. We had Skid Row. We probably should have won. Why the fuck are there several city blocks in Los Angeles of all places? Again, a stone's throw away from the garment industry and jewelry and Alvera Street. So why did we decide to just have this shit box of a place that people went to OD and fight amongst one another? So we signed off on it. And then at some point, Skid Row started to franchise a little bit.
It became Skid Grid.
Right. And then so what we started doing is went, all right, well, those guys have opened shop across the street and they're spreading out a little like we did with Starbucks, like, oh, now there's one up the street. But the concept was there, and now it just seems like it's spread out. It's franchised. But no, it was never a good idea. Would have been nice to intervene back in the day, and now let's just fucking fix it.
I mean, here's this, I'm a dummy, but a basic idea. You can't even go in for a job interview if you don't have a P.O. box, right?
Right.
Just basic stuff. Why can't we just start with some basics so that people can start, attempting to find work? I mean,
well, the problem with the problem is we're working under we labeled it homeless or previously housed. And so then the plan would be to get them a home, an address, a P.O. box, or whatever. It's a mislabeling of the problem. The problem is every one of these people are junkies and they're psychotic and they need to be taken care of. And, a home, that's the least of their worries. They need to get off of whatever they're on. And we've waged this war about the face of homelessness isn't a drug-addled, psychotic. And it's like, many. You look at that motley crew of the kids when they got out of the school bus. How many of those folks look like folks that got shit canned from the factory job 3 weeks ago? We're just trying to have a go of it because they wore out their welcome on their brother-in-law's sofa. Those are fucking junkies, and it's the politicians that are constantly trying to relabel it as. So you go, oh, they're without a home, and then we go, we need a bond to build low-cost housing. They don't want the shelter beds. They want to do drugs, and you're not welcome in the shelter if you're doing drugs. So they would rather do drugs and live in the street than go inside and not do drugs and have the shelter.
This is a conversation that probably would take a couple hours, though.
No, this is an easy fix.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Fair enough. There's a lot to unpack, so I don't know. I don't know how much time you guys have. I mean, it's my good God Almighty, I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, let me ask this hypothetical that happened to me today. Chris, what year do you think Skid Row, the term, came up? Now, the band Skid Row's from named themselves in 85, so it's got to get back to that. You guys tell me this. Yeah. Tell me what you would have done.
Yeah.
I had a thing in Santa Monica today. I was earlier. I got off the 10. I was pulling out, and there was a homeless guy, and he had the cardboard sign. So now there's different stratas of homeless. There's in your own filth rolling around on the street, and then there's I've put the sign together, and I pulled up right next to him, and I was waiting for the signal to turn, and he had a sign that said, "I'm deaf. Could you help?" It was like a 55-year-old guy. And I looked at him, and my impulse was to honk the horn. And if he jumped, I was going to go, fuck you.
How very Mike Brady of you.
Call his bluff.
Remember that one? He drops the briefcase in the courtroom?
Yeah. That was Coogan. That was Uncle Fester.
Oh, shit.
Jackie Coogan.
Like the Coogan Law.
Yeah.
Wow.
Who played the role of the guy who was suing them.
With the neck bracelet.
Right. But I was going to honk the horn, and if he jumped, I was getting no money from me. But if he just remained still,
still no money.
Then still no money. But
but you look around to make sure no one saw you not give him money after that. By the way, that has to be a bit. You have to work. That should be.
I
a
was
bit
laughing to myself, thinking this would be I thought to myself, this would be funny. Ari Gold would do this in Entourage, the movie, right?
Right.
And or it'd be a Curb Your Enthusiasm type thing. Like, we don't know if you're deaf. You just wrote it on a piece of cardboard, but we're going to find out.
Someone would have seen Larry not give him the money.
Right, after. And then he would have been, he jumped.
Right.
And he would, yes. All right,
Let me tell you about Skid Row.
Yeah, Skid Row.
I have
please.
something here. I don't know, Chris. Okay,
Chris has it.
This might be the same source. It says in the 1930s, at the height of the Great Depression, the term Skid Row was widely used to describe certain areas or neighborhoods of many U.S. cities and towns where those who had fallen on hard times went in poverty and despair.
Oh, we didn't coin it here.
No, it actually it looks like it originated in the Northwest, like Seattle, Vancouver area. It's an old logging term, Skid Road.
Oh.
But I feel like we hung on to ours because
We did, yeah, because Skid Row in Seattle was in the city's Pioneer Square.
No, it's Seattle, because if you think about Eddie Vedder, freezing, rests his head on a pillow made of concrete.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Wait, that's the lyric?
That's the lyric.
Amazing.
That's the lyric, if you can
Wow.
believe it. Because a lot of times Eddie, he sounds amazing, but you can't quite
Can articulate it?
Not really.
Yeah.
It just sounds like
Yeah,
Like
no,
if-
but I disagree because I know every word from Freezing Joe. I love that song. Or Even Flow, as you know.
Even there you go.
That's good.
I was making your point.
That's good.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is other places have gotten rid of their Skid Row, but
I
we
think so.
seem to
We're married
keep
to
ours
it.
going. All right, are we bringing it home?
We'll bring it home. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Unbeknownst to me, I used to suck.
Gina.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Well, last but not least, there's concrete. Oh, this stuff is good. Just a little scoop in your water in the morning, and I'll tell you about creatine. Your body needs creatine. Your body makes about half of what it needs, and then the rest comes from your diet, but most American diets are low in creatine-rich foods. Concrete patented creatine. HCl is the favorite creatine of elite, well-informed athletes, the number one bioavailable creatine and the only microdosing creatine. Just one small scoop for every 100 pounds of your body weight, and you're Bob's your uncle. Creatine is required for functional energy, and every cell your brain uses about 20% of the creatine in your body. So let's get it into your system with concrete. Right, Dawson?
Take control of your health, both body and mind. Build and better you with Concrete. Register now at concrete.com/podcast. That's CON-CRET.com/podcast for a chance to win a $500 Walmart Visa gift card. Available now online and in-store at Walmart. Concrete is truly life-changing and performance-enhancing.
And we're going to be doing live pods in Springfield, Missouri at Blue Room Comedy Club. That'll be this Friday and Saturday. Live pod there. And then the late show is going to be stand-up. And speaking of stand-up, Jeremy Piven, Irvine Improv, July 15th and 16th, this Friday, Saturday. As well as Zany's coming up in Nashville. And there's films coming out. Where should people go? They go and check out your podcast. Shoot them a tweet at Jeremy Piven, just like it sounds. And Vinnie Tortorich, Beyond Impossible, his doc. You can check that out. And it's Pure Vitamin Company. It's Pure Vitamin Club and Coffee Club. And thanks,
it's time
Jeremy.
to do some creatine, right, Adam?
That's
Let's
right.
Let's do some creatine.
Let's do some right now. So until next time, Adam Carolla for Vinnie Tortorich, Jeremy Piven, and Gina Grad and Bob Bryan saying Mahala. The son or the daughter who was in college should be pissed, would go, my family with their perfect mansion and their perfect car collection are perfectly miserable. And then all us poor people in the audience would stand up and cheer. Yeah, see? You can't buy happiness. I told you. I snuck into this theater, but it cannot be bought.